Okay. So, hello everyone. We are come back again with a great and lovely topic of this webinar series in Vidyadaan. We are here. We have with us with a new topic, with the possibilities and the challenges of becoming and being a creative professional. And for this session, we have today with a very renowned expert with us, and he's been a well-known cinematographer, and he's been coming with a broad spectrum with a design and showing and directions of historical concept. He's a museum designer, he's a filmmaker, he's a cinematographer, he's an entrepreneur, founder, chairman of Neo Films and Broadcasting School, and he has also carries a prestigious uh, tag with a FTI. He's been alumni of IIM Ahmedabad. He's strong in art, in technology and management, and lot many stuff he's been attached with. I believe that he will explain and elaborate more about on this, and he'll give us insight on our topic. Let's welcome Dr. Jain Joseph. Hello, sir.
Hi, thank you. So, are we starting?
Yes, sir.
Started.
The session is on to you.
Yeah, first of all, a big thank you for inviting me for this talk, and I should appreciate MESC for this effort because it's very when I observe the kind of activities which is being done by you, it's very systematic in skill training, and I'm very happily and positively looking at all your activities. So thank you. Then I can't see my listeners, whoever is participating in it. But I hope we will have a good discussion or dialogue at some point of time where I can clarify my thoughts with you. The name of the topic which is given by me is like possibilities and challenges of becoming and being a creative professional. So by saying so, I divide it into two parts. Like one is becoming, and the second is being. And when I said becoming, it is like a step-by-step procedure to become a creative professional. And when I say being, it is to sustain there as a creative professional. And both are difficult. Till we become a creative professional, we will think that becoming is difficult. But once you become a creative professional, we will feel like, okay, being there is also equally difficult. But all these difficulties are really faced or handled by the word passion, the passion which we have inside us. And most of the time, I tell my students that when you say, I have passion in still photography, or I have passion in cinematography, or I have passion in filmmaking, you have to really understand the meaning of passion. Because the meaning of passion is not just infatuation or love towards something. Meaning of passion is the readiness to sacrifice our sensual pleasures for a better goal. So the whole fundamental idea behind creativity is that there is a lot of sacrifice. But one thing is there, like these sacrifices are not unhappy events in our life. These all are really happy events in a creative professional's life. So this word passion is very important for a creative professional. And that is one first thing which I want to tell you people. The possibility of becoming a creative professional is this passion. And technically speaking, or more than technically, practically speaking, when we look at, say, future of film industry, that is where this creative people in my area, where the predominant area is filmmaking, there the future is very positive to me. Even though there are a lot of changes happening, the whole industry is really proliferating in various layers. If we look at the technology, one main thing which is coming up is virtual production. Virtual production is where you have an LED screen behind your properties or the characters, and you can shoot with a game engine, which will correct your parallax error while shooting. This is an in-shot what is virtual production. And when we look at it, actually, I, I was thinking that this is going to change very soon, very fast, because technology is there and it is not difficult to shift to that technology. But now, last May, I had gone to Cannes Film Festival and I had attended a one-day workshop there in virtual production. So when I saw that challenges in shifting to that virtual production, there are studios which handle virtual production in India also, but the real challenges are the whole ecosystem have to be developed. When I say whole ecosystem have to be developed for that, I mean to say the VFX artists or graphic people, all these elements of virtual production. That is what I mean by the whole ecosystem. The development of this whole ecosystem will take some more time. So I think it is going to happen within maybe a time span of 7 to 10 years in a very proper way. Definitely, there will be experiments before that. There will be small productions before that, and this will definitely give a lot of creative space for all the technicians. And film, as you know, is a technical art. So converting all the creative thoughts we have into audio visual design using technology. With this kind of a proliferation in the technology, it will give a lot of opening for our expressions. And secondly, regarding film industry, what I see is that the size and types of film is growing. The number of sizes and number of types of films are growing. When I say the size, I mean to say the duration. So there are short films, there are microfilms, and there are very small films of like 30 seconds to 1 minute, and different screen aspect ratios. If you are doing it for Insta, the aspect ratio is different. If you are doing it for other platforms, the aspect ratios are different. The platforms where it is getting exhibited is also growing in number. Like you have theaters, as we had before. Then you have television. It was also it was existing earlier. But now we have like home theaters and even these laptops and mobile screens. So the platforms also decide the nature of the content. The content changes according to the platforms which we exhibit it. So in a way, it is getting very, very complex, because even if you are doing an advertisement, you have to make separate compositions for your Insta promotion, your Facebook promotion, in verticals, in horizontals. All this have come in. But when we say it has become more complex, it has also become very big. That whole industry, the whole demand for content has become very, very high, which means a lot of people can have a space in this area, in this industry, in film industry. So the future of film industry is very, very bright. Especially, I would like to I think my pace of speaking is okay for everyone, because I can't see your faces when I speak in classrooms. It is easy to look at face of people and get a feel whether you are understanding it properly. So if any feedback is required, please give me. So what I was trying to say is here that new word, new definitions of economy also come into practice, because now we have started talking about. I very categorically say that we have started talking about creative economy. That word was not there maybe say 15 years back, that word was not there. But now the term creative economy is much spoken about, or we have started thinking very seriously about it. And the term creative economy means the segment of your country's economy which deals with, say, art, design, media, etc., where innovations and everything comes under that segment. So it is not the earlier concepts of capital, land, building, and labor, but it's more on the thinking part of it. How to innovate certain things with your creativity. So this creative economy, if I should give you an example, World Cup football in Qatar, which happened very recently. So this was seen, enjoyed, and experienced by billions of people around the globe, not by seeing the football and the ground, or not by being there. They actually has watched the film, and the whole football, as the world had seen, except for a few lakhs of people who have gone to Qatar in reality and must have watched inside the stadium. Apart from those few lakhs of people, the entire world watched this World Cup football as film only. There were hundreds of cinematographers involved. There were hundreds of editors involved. There were hundreds of VFX graphic artists involved. There were hundreds of anchors involved. So this is what creative economy means. Now, I think you have got a fair idea about what I'm talking about, this creative economy. So creative economy is going to be a major segment of every country's GDP. This is something which is very, very happy to hear for a creative profession. If you ask me, in my younger days, say when I was 20 or 25, being creative was a dangerous thing to happen. Parents were literally worried about if I'd been a theater person in my college days. So it was not accepted by the community that being creative means you are not going to get any job and you are not going to work as a professional. You are going to find it difficult for a livelihood. But today, the scene is totally different. I can assure you that if you are a creative person, if you can innovate things, if you can design something in media or in any other aspect, you are going to be one of the people who can lead the community. Talent in itself, the word talent, the word design, the word art has been very prominent these days. Like we are discussing about innovations, we are discussing about entrepreneurship. So all this come out of this creative energy a person holds. So this is all about creative economy, and whoever has come here as an artist, who has come here as an aspirant designer or a filmmaker, you can be very, very happy that you are talented and you are aspiring to be a designer. The future is yours. And what else should I say? I think I would talk about this, how to become a creative professional and what is the role of creative education in becoming a creative professional. This is some topic which I'm really interested as a person, because I've studied in Pune Film Institute, which is one of the very prestigious art school of the nation, and I've also studied in IAM. But what I've seen is that after studying in FTI and seeing a lot of people, I've become a cinematographer. I did my specialization in cinematography. So maybe after passing out from FTI, I became a cinematographer maybe in the third year. But generally, looking at the whole art education scenario, I always have thought whether art can be taught. Is it something which can be taught to people? Because it was not fairly saying it was not happening in art schools at that point of time. Only very few number of people who has the real fire was struggling to a point to become successful. So when I started thinking about it, I found that there is a cycle which happens, like starting from your talent, because all this problem starts if you have talent. Because this talent is very latent inside. Nobody else can see that talent. So the problem is that you know, or you have a doubt whether you are talented, and you think that you are talented, and you have the aspirations to do new things, to learn to do the new, to innovate things. But the community, even your parents, will not agree to the point that you are not talented. This is the first conflict which a creative person faces. So this talent is latent. And there comes another word called skill. This talent is what helps you to be creative, and the skill is what helps you to be productive. So these two words are also important, like being creative and also being productive. So what happens is, when your life goes with your talent and skill, you start producing art forms. If you have talent in music, you make it a form, like you start singing a song, and then people call you are an artist, and you also believe that you are an artist. If you have talent in painting, you use all your skills to paint, with all the infrastructure you have, with the technology you have. Then you make an art form called painting. But the point is, after becoming an artist, you are not going to be remunerated, or you are not going to be respected in the social crowd. You have to convert your art into a design. You have to convert yourself from a state of artist to a state of designer. This designer is a creative professional. An artist by himself is not a himself or herself is not a creative professional. So, what is the difference between these two state is important, between an artist and a designer. The real difference is, this designer will have a objective while applying his art. He will have a target audience. He will be delivering something on time to a given target audience, a designer. So this conversion is important. And education is given to understand or learn the process of converting your art into a design. Because earlier, I'd started Neo Film School maybe 12, 13 years back. So that time people was asking me, can art be learned, and how can you teach filmmaking? Do we need to learn direction? There are a lot of filmmakers who have come without a formal education and all. But the problem is, those filmmakers which you think are successful even without a formal education definitely would have had a mentor, or people who had been around him to groom him as a filmmaker. Without education, no, without mentoring, a artist cannot be converted into a designer or a creative professional. So this is what exactly this creative education does. It grooms you. It gives you the process and principles of converting this talent or art form, art inside you, into a design which is useful for the building of community into next cycle of evolution. And once you do that, you are remunerated, you are respected as a designer, and people come to you, and this is what happens. And if you fail to convert it into a design, your talent becomes a curse to you. That talented person really get destroyed, or he is not able to bring himself even the necessary basic needs of a human being. So this is very important. Creative education is very important, and you should have a mentor. whatever happens, a creative person needs to have a mentor who can handhold him to next level, then to next level. So it's a step-by-step journey to the final destination as you go high. So this is what I have to talk about, like creative education, like becoming a creative professional. And when it comes to like film as a profession, so let us say that you have reached that profession. Maybe if I should give you an example of a cinematographer. Once that education is done, he joined somebody as a assistant. Then he grows as an associate cinematographer. Then he grows as a operative cameraman. Then he grows as a second unit cameraman. Then he finally becomes a DOP, like director of photography. So these are, to give you an example, these are the levels which I am talking about. They step by step journey in a career which we are talking about. This is same as in a management career. Like you join as a junior manager, then you get promoted as a senior manager, then you get promoted as a general manager, then you go as an operations head, then the C-level states come, like chief COO or CFO, CMO, chief marketing officer, chief finance officer. Then finally you go to like CEO, chief executive officer. So this ladder is there in every industry. Even if it is coming to creative industry, this ladder can be identified. And what happens is that once you reach that level 1, then there will be a plateau which moves on. Then you move on to the next level 2, and then to next level 3, and maybe 5, 6, 7 levels will take you to become the chief of that particular vertical. So once you enter into that, let us say you have entered into film as a profession. Then the problems which I've found, actually I've faced when I was a cinematographer, then I'm also seeing it in my students who are passing out, like they enter into this profession. But there's a problem which these creative professionals face. One thing is there is a lack of awareness amongst the community. If I cite you an example, the social requirements of a designer, of a creative professional is not taken care by the government. I would say straight that there is no film industry as such. Even though we talk that film industry, there is no film industry existing in India. We have media and entertainment industry. So the problem is that no banks will give loans to a film professional, because these all are the very practical issues one faces when he enters into a creative profession. Bank managers usually are happy with the conventional professions you have, and this is one of the elements which frightens the parents to send their kids to a creative scenario. Now slowly things are changing, but still this stigma, this social stigma exists. So we have started a movement called film as a profession, and it has got 3 pillars which we are working on. The first pillar is the industry reforms, because we need to have a lot of industry reforms so that this industry will be also, this profession also will be considered as a as a medical profession, or as an with all the respect which we give to professions like medicine or engineering, or to a chartered accountant. It has to be properly constructed. I'm not saying that we have done something bad earlier without doing all this. It is not that, because the industry was also evolving, the profession was also evolving. Now it has come to a point where we can very systematically design an industry and a profession, so that any young talent can come to this industry with self-esteem. Yeah, that is very important. With self-esteem, I would use that word. So that is one area, the industry reforms. Second area is the gender issues. Whatever said and done, it is there in the industry. You must be reading about that. So some inputs have to be gone into that area. Some awareness programs have to be gone into that area. Definitely now it is more easier, even if there is no very conscious attempt. These things will happen within a span of 10-15 years. But by intervening into that, this time can be compressed into maybe next 5 to 7 years. This can be achieved. Otherwise, this gender issues will be solved, because now there are a lot of girl power coming into the film and media industry, to the design industry. So naturally, this will take shape as it goes on. But we have also decided to intervene into this area, since we are into education and forming the professionals. So this is the second area, gender issues. And the third area, which really contributes to sustainability. As you all know, now we are into the concept of global village, right? The world is getting smaller and shorter. The distances are getting shorter, and we have reached to every point of the globe. Every information from every part of the globe is reaching you. So the global production protocol is important, which we really lack. There are few people who know that, but it's a very small segment in Indian film industry. Even though our film industry, volume-wise, is very, very, very big, we are not using real professional protocol in every industry at a lower levels. So if you can really be aware of that global production protocol and the legal rights like copyrights and how to prepare a pitch deck, all this comes under that. So this is one vertical we are really working on, like Center for Practicing Global Production Protocol. So this is a movement which we started. It has got three pillars, as I explained. One is the industry reforms. It may take another 1 or 2 years. Definitely, this is not going to happen overnight, but we are conducting conferences, conclaves, summits, meeting minister level people, so that activity has started. Then we have this positive gender power center for awareness on that. Then the third one is Center for Practicing Global Production Protocol. This is about that moment once you enter into film as a profession. And there are a lot of other guilds and associations which are there to help every vertical. Like there are association for scriptwriters, there are association for directors, there are professional association for cinematographers. So all this constitute our film industry. And all this have started evolving in last few decades, and it is really taking shape. So I believe the young aspirants, once you become a real professional filmmakers, the industry will be more standardized and comfortable to move and grow through the career ladder. So this is regarding the film as a profession. And Ashish, can you help me in asking some of the questions? Like I just came with the flow. If you have any questions.
Yes, sir, we are getting some questions now.
Okay.
So the very first question that can you have envision the future of the film industry given the rapid advancement in the technology? How we do that, sir?
Can you repeat that question to get the real?
So the question is that how do you envision the future of the film industry given the rapid advancement in the technology?
Yeah, that's what I said. Like, if the technology which can bring in like real shift uh, from the older practices to a integrated film city. Integrated film city is going to happen definitely, because it would be like you enter into the film city, you stay in hotels over there for maybe 3 or 4 months or 5 or 6 months, and complete the film and come out of it. So this is what integrated film cities will contribute. The fear of a new aspirant which coming to film could be that if these technologies are changing, and what is the point in learning these technologies now? Or if I practice with the older technologies, will I be able to switch to a newer technology, or will I be outdated? I would say I can give you an example of the question is, are you learning photography or are you learning camera? I would say we people, when I was in FTI in Pune Film Institute, we have been trained in film cameras, where we have this old stuff, Kodak, Fuji, and all. We used to load the films, then shoot in like film cameras. But after passing out from institute, we had to shoot with both video cameras and film cameras. Then after a point, digital cameras came in, and all what we had learned in film institute, like the processing, lab process, grading, everything has become obsolete. Nothing is remaining today. But what remains today and what helps us to exist today is we had learned photography, not just camera, because photography is still existing. So when I tell students about this shift, I would suggest that you learn filmmaking. You learn techniques of filmmaking. You learn how to make your frames meaningful. You learn how to tell stories through films. This is not going to extinct. This is not going to end. However, the technology changes. The basic function of filmmaking, which is storytelling, will exist as long as human race exists. That is for sure. So, regarding technology, one of the characteristics we should have is learn to do the new. This is one thing which every creative person inherently will be possessing this quality. So whatever the changes happens, first of all, he will sense it little earlier than a very normal person. Creative people have, which we call this visionary strength, in different degrees. So he will understand that, okay, now the time is going to change and the whole ecosystem is going to shift to a new normal. And I also need to change. And he will start learning to do the new. Professionals like me, even today at this age, we are also learning. So these are the 2 points which I have to tell you regarding the shift of what will happen to a aspirant or to a filmmaker, young filmmaker, when the whole technology changes. This envisioning of the types of content and films, which is what I told you earlier, it will definitely change. The size of the screen, the duration of the film, the contents which we discuss about, because even the content, if you are considering, today we are presenting every content, every dimension of life is treated as a content now. It is not like our early years, that we were talking about like families, we were talking about dynasties, kingdoms, and all. Today, from kingdoms to even the smallest nuance of life decisions and relationships are being detailed in length on screen. So the content also have changed. The style of presentation have changed. All this will change. Even our it's not only about verbal language. It is not only about filmmaking. It is also about our verbal language. Just think like how much our verbal language has changed in style and also in the content. So all these changes will happen. Changes will never stop changing. But as a professional, we have to move with the change. And if you are really creative, you will envision it much before the change happens, and you will prepare yourself. You will learn to do that new thing which is coming in, and you will be equipped to do that once you reach there, provided you think about the abstract of what you are doing. Like as I said, photography is the abstract of what I do. Photography is the essence of what I do. Camera is only the outer concrete of what we do. So the focus should go to the essence of what we are doing, the meaning of what we are doing, and the equipments will keep on change. That is not at all a big issue. Yes.
Yes, sir. So we are getting another question from student that could you share some key insights on the importance of creative education in filmmaking and cinematography?
Yeah, I think I mentioned this, but to add to that, I would say it is not only about the creative education about filmmaking, it is also about how will you present yourself as a professional. This is one thing which I always tell students or aspirants or young professionals who come to me. Because I'm also a branding expert. I have certain consultancies on branding to few companies and products. So every film professional is an entrepreneur in himself. Or if I should say, every film professional is a brand by himself, isn't it? We sell our films on our brand. Whether you are a cinematographer, whether you are an editor, maybe the number of people who know this brand will be different. For a technician, there will be less number of people who know this brand than a film star whose face is on the screen. But everyone who works in a film industry is a brand. So every branding principle is applicable to this professional in film industry. So when I talk about branding, branding is all about stories, like how deeply you excavate to find out the stories about you. And how many others are telling these stories about you. This is one is the stories of you. You have to excavate yourself and you have to realize what exactly you are. And at the same time, these stories should be told by others about you. This is branding. Whether you take a soap or any other appliances, branding is all about stories about you and stories of you. So this is very important when we get into this film profession, because most of the times what a creative professional face in building his career in films or in any other design field is mostly creative professions are one who really delve deep down into their unconscious mind to get newer designs to the depths of their heart. So it is not possible for them to come out of it and to go to someone and present themselves and propose their product, propose themselves as a product. They need a separate person or an agency to take them to somebody and to sell their concepts or sell their capabilities of designing something. This is one which really every creative professional lacks. So I would suggest every creative professional to get connected with somebody who can really brand you, who can really promote you, who can tell your stories to someone. Then it just after one or two assignments, it just goes on. Your stories start being told. So this is one major element of being successful in a creative industry, not just film industry, but in a creative industry, because majorly these creative professionals will be introverts who will be happily going deeper inside to get more and more innovative ideas which can be brought out. But once they bring it out, they can't really go to someone and say that I have got this and I want to produce it. Here there is a big gap which can be filled with a promoting agency or somebody who can really help him to brand himself. So this is one area which I wanted to tell the youngsters when if they want to grow in the industry. So this is about branding, and I
Yes,
thought,
sir.
yeah,
So we have another question with us from a student, and he's asking that what best suitable advice do you give for the aspiring filmmakers who are looking to turn into passion into the successful profession?
yeah. I'm happy that you use that word passion because I had talked about that passion. So the one major advice is look at it as a step-by-step journey. Even I talked about the step-by-step journey earlier, because I've seen people looking at film industry or film profession as they look at the top only. They don't get that whole travel path. So get that idea of, okay, this is level 1, this is level 2, this is level 3, this is level 4. Say break it into say at least 7 levels, and start working for that level 1. Don't work for that level 7. Most of the talents, I've seen parents who are not allowing students, allowing their children to get into this film profession. It's not that they don't love film as a profession. They only want to protect their children from getting into a dangerous profession, because they think that it is not possible to succeed in this profession, or it is very difficult to succeed in the profession. What I would tell them is like, okay, in maybe say 20 years back or 30 years back, the success rate in aspirants to filmmaking was very, very low. I agree. If you go to Chennai, which was the center for South Indian films, and if you look at like Mumbai, which is the center for Hindi films, we will see that maybe 25 years back, people were just flowing into these headquarters, these cities, and hardly 0.001% of the people become successful. I agree. But today, the scenario is totally different, because you have this birth, you have this tiers, you have these levels in between when you come for when you aspire for a profession in film industry. And how did this happen? This happened because of the shift to the internet or web, because every commercial entity, any shop needs a virtual entity on web. And what is this virtual entity? It is audiovisual design. Everyone needs a film. Whatever we see on internet is an audiovisual design. It is a film in its technical meaning. So we have corporate videos, we have short ads, we have explainer videos, we have training films, we have say advertisement films. Then a lot of even an influencer is making his own film and presenting and becoming an influencer, which also carries towards the commercial part of it. So what I'm saying is that now, if an aspirant starts his journey looking at a dream, or aspiring to become a filmmaker, a film director, even he doesn't have the capability to reach that seventh level, he can end up at first level or second level or third level and comfortably live there as a professional by doing training films or by doing explainer videos or by doing advertisement films. There are a lot of births in between, which has been created by this shift to internet, shift to web, shift to virtual platforms, which is the reason for the earlier term which I used, like creative economy. So now we can happily send your children to that. And whoever the aspirant had asked, my answer is you can comfortably start your journey, and you can set your platform at a level which you are comfortable and still have a decently good professional life at that level. So it's not a suicidal move anymore. So for this, you need to have that whole pathway, that career ladder, and move step by step. I'll be coaching myself. I'll be learning to reach that level one. Then after going straight for some time, then I'll be learning to come to the level two, then to level three, then to level four. So this understanding will keep your life stress-free, and you can enjoy the creative happiness which God has intended to give you through your talent.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
So we have another question from a student. Can you elaborate the role of branding consultancy in the world of creative professions and filmmaking?
Yeah, I told that subject, but I think one thing which can be added to that is like branding is a very organic thing. If I should tell you a story which a professor told me, I asked him, like, after a lot of experience in branding, I asked him, what exactly is branding? Because this word is there in our vocabulary for a long time, but still we don't really understand what exactly is a branding. So I still remember his line, and I also tell my students about this, that branding is all about telling others what you are. The second part is branding is also telling others what you are not. So actually, it is discovering your uniqueness. So if you are coming into the creative field, let us take a most simple example of still photography. A still photographer can have different specializations. So whether you want to become a wildlife photographer, whether you want to become a fashion photographer, whether you want to become an architecture photographer, or whether you want to become a product photographer, all this, the technology is same, the output display would be same, but the reflexes of that professional is different. If you ask me about wildlife photography, I've done a few with cinematography, not with still photography. So the moment you go for a wildlife shoot, I would say the most important reflex is patience and silence. How long you can sit patiently without moving yourself and silent. Then only you get the wonderful shots in while doing a wildlife photography. And if you are doing a product photography, the scenario is totally different. You are making that inanimate object full of life. And the reflexes, the thought process, the visualizing capacity for that is entirely different. You have to really play with the light. And all the lights you are moving. In wildlife photography, you are not playing with lights. You are playing with the objects. You are following the objects. But when you are doing product photography, you are playing with lights. Your object is the static, inanimate. but you are moving, the whole dynamics is on lighting the same. So similarly, in fashion photography, if you are doing fashion photography, if your model is it's all about the chemistry with your model, and the visual aesthetics is totally different. So what I'm trying to say that while we say that word branding, this branding is also about finding your uniqueness. There'll be a point where you come to say that, okay, this is his strength and this is also his weakness. I would say the easiest part to understand the uniqueness of a person is like uh, which one is his strength as well as weakness. This is his uniqueness. So this is about branding. And if you recall whatever you have told about a professional or about a creative profession to somebody else, that would be a story of his strength as well as weakness. That would be a story about his uniqueness. So branding is not just labeling about something. Branding is really excavating into our life and finding out truly what I am and telling and expressing what exactly I am to others, so that they will carry these tales, they will carry the stories to people outside, other people. This is how a brand is built organically. I'm not saying that you have to really mechanically build it up or you fake it up. I'm saying that there is an organic process called branding. It is about finding out your uniqueness. Yeah. Ashish?
Yes, sir. We are
Yeah.
getting one more question from our students. That
Okay.
in your experience, what are some of the most common challenges in the creative professional face, and how we can overcome from that challenges?
See, most important challenge is that unconscious thing which I said. Like most of the creative professionals will be introvert, or even if we don't say that we are introvert, we go deeper into, we go into silence, we go into hibernation, we cocoonize ourselves to find out better ideas and the innovative dynamics of certain phenomena, whether it is in I do museums. Yeah, that would be an interesting example to say. I design museums. So my museums, when I started doing it, I believe that uh, this should be something which touches the hearts of people. Like the history, the story which I am talking about should touch the hearts of the people. And how will I do that? So I started from designing the whole architecture of it, so that the people, when they enter into that compound itself, there's an expression. Then they enter into that, and once they enter into that, we use all the technologies to tell the story, whether it is LED screens. In a museum, I have done like this LED tiles, which is of say 6 inches by 6 inches size. That was wired separately and placed at different points. So there'll be all sort of installations which I try out. There'll be technology of pneumatic and mechanical motions. So the whole struggle inside me is to, how will I communicate this complex story or otherwise boring story interestingly to a member of the audience who come to visit this. And this struggle is not happening outside. If somebody look at me from outside, there will not be any struggle. But day after day, any designer for that matter, I'm just taking me as an example so that I can confidently share the information. So any designer for that matter, there are sleepless nights. They are really deep down. They are doing this. So coming out of it, to make it productive, it's a totally different scene. Your skill sets have to start functioning. You have to approach to people. You have to collaborate with people. So this collaborative intelligence, that's a new term. If you say for an artist, this collaborative intelligence will be very low. Like and this will create a problem in expressing his ideas into someone else, making them convinced, and moving into productivity. If you can bridge this gap, this is actually what an educational institution trains. One of the most important factors which is being trained or which should be trained in a design school is this bridging. Like after going deep down into the sea and taking the shell or catching the fish, how will you come to the seashore and cook it and serve it? How will you bridge that gap between the unconscious mind and conscious mind? How will you shift yourself from the very personal space where you are in while thinking of a design and a very social formal space where you meet people and collaborate with them to produce these ideas into something very concrete? This gap is the real challenge for a creative profession. And once he understands that, once he learns that, he starts his flight. That is the takeoff point for any creative professional. This is what I believe. I've seen in my students and I've seen in myself also.
That will be a great one, sir. So then there's another question from a student that how do you balance the artistic and the technical aspects of filmmaking to create the compelling and the meaningful stories? Because sometimes at the time when we are using the technical aspects or technical areas, probably a few of the artists or few of the makers are been probably artistically getting weak, or they are getting into more into the techno area. So how we can create a balancing between both of the aspects?
Okay. Mm, I think I should say this from a management point of view. See, this is a creative decision. I would say every creative work which we do is a bundle of creative decisions. Like if you are mixing a song, there are faders, and you decide like, okay, this much level is okay for a for this track, for the violin track, and this much level is fine for the vocal voice track. So these all are decisions. If I take a cinematography as an example, which lens should be put in for? See, you can take a close up with a very wide angle lens. You can take a close up with a tele lens also. uh, it's not only about the size of the magnification. It's not only about the magnification. The magnification is close up, but it can be taken with a wide angle lens as well as with a tele lens, or as with a 50 lens, or any normal lens. So there's a decision that I'm deciding to take this close up with a wide angle lens, or I'm deciding to take this close up with a tele lens. And why this decision? This is the creative process which is happening. So I'm coming into the decision making, and that is the reason why I said this is from a management perspective I am here. So for every decision, you have 3 or 4 or 5 factors. There are multiple factors for a decision, and these multiple factors are considered, and a decision is taken, which can serve for the desired outcome. There's a desired outcome for every decision. We intend to have this desired outcome, and in this case, which you mentioned, it's the meaningful frame, or it's the meaningful stories. So when I put this lens, when I take that decision, it's a technical decision, but I ensure that this aesthetic and the functional objective is met. Functional objective is that I have to give meaning to this whole expression. So, as far as filmmaking is concerned, these three parts are there. One is management, the other one is technology, and other one is aesthetics. So we have a sense of aesthetics. That is where these meanings come. And we should be strong and confident in area of technology, and we should be able to manage it. Managing is the blending of it in given time and space. So all these three factors to be blended to give a meaningful frame. Same thing happens in, say, if you are lighting it up. And this is the reason why cinema is called a technical art, because all this technology is involved in that. But at the end of the day, the objective is to tell a meaningful or to make a meaningful composition which will tell the story. So when I say meaningful composition, I actually, as a cinematographer, I think of meaningful frames. Because for a layman, for a non-technician or a non-professional who is just a member of audience, he look at this film as a whole, maybe 2 hour or 2.5 hour length, one single composition. Is that for him? And maybe we divide it into two. After certain awareness, we divide it into two, like first half and second half. And maybe a professional will start dividing it into 70, 75 or 80 scenes. But for a real creative professional, he has to bother about that one single frame. And if you are able to make that one single frame meaningful, this entire thousands of frames in that film will be meaningful, and this will make a total meaning to the story you are telling, and it will really generate emotions, not just information, and that makes a successful communication. So this is the blend of technology and aesthetics which you are talking about, but I would definitely add the factor called management into that. So these are like three legs of a tripod, like technology, aesthetics, and management. And these three really give that objective of making meaningful frames, which will tell impressive stories.
Okay, that's a
Yes.
wonderful answer, sir. So, so we are heading towards our almost the last question of this session.
Okay.
What will be a piece of advice you wish to receive from when you are been starting your journey in the creative industry?
One, I like the way you have framed that question, or whoever. That what would be that advice which
You
uh,
receive,
I
but
res-
when you are the aspirant,
okay. I didn't receive, you said. I wish to have received, right? Anyway, I think one of the most important advice which I wish to have received at that point of time is
or
mm,
you can pass on that legacy that you can advise to those aspirants who are been starting their journey in the creative industry.
okay.
So they have to choose it that whether they go to the camera, whether they go to another still one or the video one, how they
Yeah.
choose themselves.
One is okay. I would say the key word is discover your uniqueness. Discover your uniqueness. I repeatedly say that because if you are discovering your uniqueness and you are choosing the right profession for you, the whole life becomes so not easy. No, that's not the right word. The whole life becomes so sweet to you. See, the hardships will be there, but all these hardships will be taken with love, with passion, and you will enjoy that creative happiness when you accomplish every step. So choosing this, choosing any profession, should happen by discovering your uniqueness. That's why I take it as a slogan, like discover your uniqueness. And when I say discover your uniqueness, to explain it a little further, I would say, see, I had a friend who had called me. Actually, he is not my friend. He is a common friend of my another friend. So the request was that his son has a confusion whether to choose VFX or cinematography or VFX, because he is so much interested in visuals, and his visual compositions are really good. So he takes good photographs, and at the same time he composes good compositions on computer at home. He in Photoshop he makes good works, in VFX he works good in Adobe Premiere and all. So he had this doubt, like which should be taken, because he takes good photograph as well as he creates good visual compositions in computer. So I asked him, like, whether he can stand from morning 6 to evening 10 o'clock, like night 10 o'clock, and work really hard with real concrete stuff, like taking things here and walking around, running around. Can he does that? Can he? Second point is, like, can he really lead people? Like, is he a leader who can really work with a team of like 100 people? So he said, no, he can't really work hard and all. He can't run around. He is always in front of computer. So he takes photograph. So I asked him, like, when does he take photograph? He takes photograph. He take camera and go out and take some photographs, then come back to the computer. And I said, how long he will sit in front of the computer? And he said he sits almost any time. Like if it's 18 hours, he sits. If it's 24 hours, I would say he will be happy to sit 24 hours in front of camera, in front of the computer. I said, then VFX. Because actually VFX is also digital cinematography. You change the lens, you does the lighting, you make models out of it. But the question is, in his basic behavior, kinesthetics is very less. For a cinematographer, he has to physically do all this. So he has to stay operational from early morning to late at night, continuously for days. This is one thing which is demanded from a cinematographer. But for a VFX guy, the challenge is how long he can sit with that computer and communicate with that computer. So these are the parameters which decides your uniqueness. It is not just your interest in the aesthetics of it. Because if you are checking the aesthetics, he has got the aesthetic sense and capability towards the visual composition. He can compose good visuals, but the medium is totally different. So this selection should be done. And this is how you discover your uniqueness. So this is when you choose the departments, departments of filmmaking. And similarly, when you choose the specializations of each department, this is again important. And a cinematographer who really outshines in the field of advertising may not outshine at that level in feature film. I'm not saying that nobody will be able to do that. There will be exceptions. Definitely, when we say these principles, there are exceptions. I agree with that. But generally, these specializations, if you are not choosing, or if you are not reaching these specializations according to your uniqueness, there could be difficulty in accomplishing major heights and becoming successful in your career. So discovering your uniqueness is most important thing which I have found in, especially in choosing a creative profession. So I request all the students, the decision should not be on my friend has joined this institution, so there is only this specialization, so I'm joining with him. No, you have to somehow find out your uniqueness, where your creative energy is really uh, pushing you to perform. And once you choose that, you will be a real performer in that space, and you will have a highly accomplished career naturally, organically.
Well,
So,
that's wonderful advice, and that's a wonderful note. I believe that students should receive a lot of new insights on how to be a creative professional, and definitely they will get some uh, guidance to choose a right career opportunity. Whether if they are going to for the camera, going for the digital, for still one, for the video one, the cinematography, which one they want to choose, right? So probably they get the right path on it, and your advice definitely give a new direction to them.
thank you, Ashish. So, are we through?
Yes, thank you very much for a wonderful session, and I hope students will get new more insights. Stay connected with the Vidyadaan, and initiated by Media Entertainment Skill Council, and we'll come up with some new webinars with new experts like Joseph sir, and you will get some new directions over there. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ashish. Thank
Thank
you.
you.